I'm here this morning with Mike Kelloway. How are things going, Mike?
Things are very, very well. Busy, but very well. It's the way I like it. The busier, the better.
That's right. Now, it's been a year since this pandemic shut us down and everything had to change. So what's been happening?
Well, the government of Canada, the federal government of Canada over the past year has been responding to COVID-19. So as everybody knows, as you know and everyone watching knows, there's not one segment of society that wasn't impacted by COVID. So the government really took a whole of government response to try to address income loss for individuals that didn't have access to EI, to ensuring that businesses had money to stay afloat in terms of rent subsidies, fishers getting substantial investment, $500 million of COVID supports for the Atlantic fishery and Pacific fishery. And I can say to you that my office was the lead office in working with the finance department to get that $500 million. And it was really even more than my office. It was the fishers in this riding and their families played a monumental role in providing me information to go back to Ottawa and say, have you thought about this program, this funding, or new funding? So a lot of different things have happened, but it's been a real whole of government response. Put it in perspective. This time last year, we were aware of COVID, but there was no vaccine. In a year's time, a year later, fast forward a year later, we have 4 vaccines that have been approved and a couple more that will be approved. We're getting vaccines out. You know, we're getting to a point where we can say very confidently that Canadians from coast to coast to coast who want a vaccine by the end of September will have their vaccines. That's a substantial effort by government, but equal to that is the substantial effort of everyday citizens. Essential workers like that individual that works in the local grocery store, the nurse practitioner, the doctor, the ambulance driver, the janitor, the cleaner, all played a fundamental role in us standing up to the vaccine in Nova Scotia and saying, I think you've met your match in terms of Nova Scotia vaccine or virus. So this, to me, has been an evolution. Government's response has been deep. To put it in perspective for you, Becky, and for the viewers out there, at one time, the CERB, and everyone knows the CERB was a measure to help individuals that couldn't access EI. Either they owned their own business, they worked in the gig economy. At one time, there were 8.5 million Canadians receiving CERB. Now, the question out there would be, and I heard this from some, well, you know, you shouldn't, you know, we got to watch what we spend, and that's true. And we got to watch what we spend in terms of supporting Canadians. But I would say, how much would it cost the economy and to families and communities if the government didn't come in with CERB, didn't come in with CEBA, didn't come in with all these measures that were designed to have Canadians' backs? And so I'm really proud to be a part of that government, but I'm really proud of our constituents because the constituents have made every effort to keep each other safe. And there's something to be said that when community looks after itself, good things will happen. And our riding of Cape Breton-Canso has done just that. But I can say I'm proud of this government. And we have more work to do. We'll need to look at things such as pharmacare that we would have looked at only for this COVID. Mm-hmm. But I'm a big proponent of pharmacare. I'm a big proponent of infrastructure monies going to the municipalities to get infrastructure where it needs to be. Getting people back to work will be key. But also just ensuring that Canadians are safe. So, the federal government provided billions of dollars in safe restart monies for provinces. And I'm very proud of that too. Mm-hmm. It's been busy. It's been complex. At times it has been challenging. But I couldn't think of another job that I would want during the pandemic than the one that I have now. And listen, when you're given an opportunity to act in the service of others, that's an amazing privilege. And I've enjoyed it every minute of it. The challenges, the wins, even the losses are ones that I learned from.
Well, I think the government really had to learn to adapt, just like everybody else. Every country has gone through this. I think that Canada has done so well. Nova Scotia, I'm so proud of. I mean, we live in one of the safest places in the entire planet. There's so much to be said for that. And as far as you, I know that you enjoy what you do. And, when you enjoy what you do, it's a pleasure to go to work every day.
It is a pleasure to go to work every single day.
Yeah.
Whether it is working here in the constituency out of my office or doing what we said we were going to do during the election of having the mobile office 1 day a week, 6 hours a day in a community. I can tell you that the mobile office has been an amazing success. We've been throughout the riding where if I'm, when I'm in Ottawa, my staff are there. When I'm here, I'm there, mobile office, taking meetings, talking to community. It's really been an amazing adventure in the sense of trying to do politics differently. So taking my office to Ayrshire, taking my office to Pomcat, taking my office to Harvey-Boucher has been rewarding, but it's also been important in terms of engaging where people live, giving people a voice to their politician where they live.
Well, see, the thing is, that's what I actually have noticed. You're very mobile, very visible, which is something I hadn't really noticed about politicians before you.
Yes.
So I think that's fantastic, and you're right. I mean, how do you get to know them unless you live amongst them, sort of, even if it is for 6 hours a day?
Exactly.
I just think that what you're doing is tremendous.
Well, thank you.
I have to give you a lot of credit for that one.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about the budget.
Sure.
Let's talk about the
Let's
budget.
talk about the budget.
Let's talk about
Okay, let's talk about it.
Tell me what's going on.
Well, I think that I don't think it's an understatement that this is a significant budget, not just because we're a minority government, but because this is a budget that will be the basis from which we rebuild from COVID. So from a health perspective, from a jobs perspective, from a youth perspective, from a seniors perspective. There's not, again, as I said at the top of the show here, there's not one facet of society that hasn't been impacted by COVID, and there's going to be a post-COVID world. So we need to ensure that we double down on certain things that need to be doubled down on, such as ensuring that we, in my opinion, these are my priorities. My priorities are that I believe the federal government has a fundamental role, and we've seen this during COVID, the importance of it. We need national standards for long-term healthcare homes, period. I'm adamant that we need this. It's important that we go after it. We've seen, as a result of COVID, but we didn't probably need COVID to tell us this, but it sort of consolidated the voices and the eyes on long-term healthcare homes, is that a country like Canada, it's absolutely essential long-term healthcare standards from coast to coast to coast. And being on the health committee, I got a chance to see and hear from a lot of witnesses on COVID, so many. And there is not one province in terms of where the witnesses came from that said, we don't need long-term national healthcare standards. We do. It's absolutely essential. It's something I believe in passionately about, and it's certainly something I'm fighting for to be in this budget. And if it's not in this budget, I'm not going to let it go. I'm a dog with a bone. I absolutely think it's essential. The other items, which are big to seniors, is an increase in old age security and guaranteed income supplement. And I sit on about 6 caucuses, volunteered to do it. One of them is seniors, because seniors, my mom's a senior, and my mom's 80 years of age. And my mom is living on my father's DEFCO pension, which is embarrassingly low. It's shameful, to be quite honest. When I'm deciding about things to support, I think of my mom.
Of course.
And I support what we said we would do in the speech from the throne, which was voted against by the Bloc Québécois, which was voted against by the Conservatives. Sorry to get political, but they did vote against it. And my thought is, we need to increase OAS in this budget. We need to increase GIS in this budget. And I believe that we need to include age brackets such as 65 and up. And that's what I'm fighting for. So there was a motion, and I think your viewers will appreciate this. And it's a chance for me to talk. As you know, when people email me, I get back to them right away. They call me, I get back to them right away. Part of my job is to work with the community to provide the best leadership and oversight of motions and bills and ask questions as to why something is being presented on behalf of a specific group. The Bloc Québécois put forward a motion in terms of seniors, and the motion was focused on seniors receiving an increase, but it was a very political motivated motion. And I'll explain this to you. The motion itself talked very generically about seniors. It said something to the effect of seniors should receive an increase of $110 a month and maybe another line. A motion is non-binding. Once a motion is made, it goes into the ether. A bill is something else. It has first reading, second reading, third reading. Our OAS and GIS will have that rigor. The motion that was presented by the Bloc Québécois and supported by the other parties who voted against the speech from the throne increase didn't talk about things such as that money that they propose won't be indexed. That money that's proposed would go to seniors that make $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year. And so there was a lot of loosey-goosey language used because it wasn't designed to help seniors. It was designed to scare seniors. My approach has always been this. Look to you, look in the camera, and say that my job is to get the best deal possible for seniors. And so for the seniors that are out there hearing stories that Mike Kelloway voted against the motion, I voted against the motion because it was a political motion. It wasn't a motion designed to help individuals, communities, organizations. It was a motion to get Facebook posts and to get people riled up. And I can tell you straight up, and the people that are watching, that every day that I wake up, and I mean this sincerely, I think about my mom, I think about what she needs, and I know that my mom is reflected in each and every one of you. And I won't rest until we get an OAS increase. I won't rest until we get a GIS increase. But it's going to be one that helps those seniors in need and not necessarily seniors that are making $400,000. And I want to make sure that it has longevity, that it is indexed. And I want to make sure, for example, that guaranteed income supplement is increased. OAS is increased. And I won't rest till that happens. The motion, sadly, is a motion that will do nothing. A bill will do something, and that's what I'm behind.
And I think that all of the seniors listening are going to really appreciate what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
I know I, as a future senior, almost there,
Yeah.
appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
So what about next? Like, is there going to be an election this year, Mike?
Well, a minority government, a mistake can cause a minority government. That's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Can happen at any time. But I can tell you what my hope and expectation is. And by the way, we're ready. My office is ready. I have an amazing office. I have an amazing executive. We reformed our executive. It has people from all over the riding, gender parity, youth, seniors together. We're ready. But my hope is that what we can do is continuing to focus on what matters. Right now, what matters is the vaccines. Getting the vaccines out. Making sure people have access to them, that they vaccine up, and that we get to a healthier spot. So a lot of times in the past, I was a political junkie. I would watch every TV show, every pundit show. Everybody would have an opinion. But I can tell you that we're a party that is focused on one thing. And I can say this with all the truth and honesty that I can marshal up, is that we don't want an election. We want to focus on helping Canadians. So if it happens to be an election, then we're ready. But the key focus and the eyes on the prize are those vaccines, getting every Canadian vaccinated who wants to get vaccinated by September. That's what we're focused on. We're focused on putting a budget that is strategic, targeted, progressive on economic development, health, social development. I'm the co-chair nationally of the Not-for-Profit Caucus, and I'm very honored to say that. And the reason why I am is because I believe one of the hardest hit groups are not-for-profits under COVID. And so we need to do more for not-for-profits. We need to do more for tourism operators, one of the hardest hit sectors, period. Tourism, arts and culture, you name it. And we've put money into that. We need to put more investment because it is actually in the best interest of the Canadian economy and Canadian culture. So if there's an election called, we'll be ready. But I believe that there's not one cabinet minister, there is not one MP, I can only speak on the government side, that is focused on it. What they're focused on is how do we get our community healthy, safer, and how do we come out of this stronger?
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I am hoping, I'm just waiting for the day that I get vaccinated. I am excited about it.
Yeah.
To me, I find that, you know, just even seeing a spring flower makes me happy these days.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
COVID has really taught us all to think differently, I believe, you know, and as a musician, I understand what you're talking about, Arts, and as a person who's involved in some nonprofit groups, I understand exactly what you mean about, you know, hard hit.
Yeah.
But really, I think that concentrating on the vaccines is exactly what has to happen. I always was of the idea that if everybody was vaccinated, everybody could go back to work and the economy would come back to a better place. So I think that should be your main, you know, the government's main focus, and obviously it is.
No question.
Yeah.
The vaccines, and you know, we have Moderna, we have Pfizer, we have Johnson & Johnson, we have AstraZeneca, and the reason why we arranged and formed a partnership with all these vaccine companies that we believed it was important to have a portfolio of vaccines, not relying on one particular company. And the more people we get vaccinated, the closer we get to normal. We're going to continue to have to do the masks for a while, the social distancing for a while, and hey, no one likes wearing a mask. I don't like wearing a mask, but you wear a mask for yourself, for your family. But the vaccines themselves, the focus is on the vaccine. The focus is on helping Canadians. And so that's what we're focused on. We're focused on those two things, vaccines and helping Canadians on a multitude of levels. And it's an unprecedented time. And I say this in a commercial I did for TV, and it's something my father always said when my dad was in charge of mine rescue for DEFCO mines, and he would always say that crisis reveals character. Okay, so if you take that for an example, look at communities, how they've come together. Look at people within communities. Look at what seniors are doing across our riding in terms of seniors organizations helping others to get meals to individuals who can't otherwise get a meal. Think about the young people of this riding that are looking at ways to help their fellow citizen. Think about, again, the definition of an essential worker has changed. The essential worker is the truck driver. The essential worker is the stock person at the local co-op. Take those individuals out of the equation, we have issues. So the definitions of essential workers have changed, which is good, but we need to continuously remind ourselves that everybody in this is important. Everyone has a role to play. As a government, we need to make sure Canadians are safe, full stop. Vaccines, PPE, dollars for investments into industry to help them rebound, increases in OAS and GIS, which I'm super committed to, and other measures that are going to help Canadians. And you know, we are going to do, like what we've done this past year is do our best. To do our best in an unprecedented situation. So this year has provided us some learning curves to now look at the past year, what we did well as a government, and what do we do more of what we did well, and do less of what didn't work out.
Well, that's the only way that you can find anything out anyway. I mean, like I said in the beginning, the government had to do the same thing that the rest of us had to do. They had to adapt.
Exactly.
Only on a much larger scale, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it was a real challenge, but it was, a challenge that, I felt that the government took up. I felt that everybody, actually, it was nice to see everybody banding together once in a while. I appreciated, as far as the community goes, the seniors. The seniors have so much more to offer than people give them credit for.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. They know more than we do.
Well, what I love is seniors, in my opinion, are an untapped resource for community innovation. They have individual wisdom, and put them together, they have a collective wisdom. And not only do they provide assistance and help for people on a social scale, I think we have so much expertise on the economic side of things that seniors can play a role in. And I take great pride in speaking to my colleagues across the country about the seniors groups that are in my area, the seniors in my area, and what they've done during COVID. I'm so proud to talk about Nova Scotia to other MPs throughout the country to say, we are all individuals and we all have individual rights. But when the community comes together as a collective and says, we are going to do this, we are going to focus on this. Think of the power of what can be accomplished. We've seen it with COVID. What if we took that power and said, we are going to refocus what the economy will look like on the east side of Cape Breton, from Port Hawkesbury, Ayrshire down. What is possible when we are working together, when we have a unified vision and say, we are going to get behind this. We did it with COVID, and I'm proud of that. I take so much pride and gratitude for the people of this riding of Cape Breton-Canso, and I think the best is yet to come.
Yeah, the other thing that I've been really excited about noticing and seeing and speaking to younger people who are becoming so engaged and looking especially at the possibility of a greener future. And that's, those visions are going to help people along the way too. I mean, they're talking about sustainable gardens and all of these wonderful ideas. We've got a group here right now working to put in an Isle Madame Park, complete with...
And I've met with that group.
That's a fantastic initiative.
It's a great initiative.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
It's hard not to get excited when you talk to those folks who are behind it.
Yeah.
And here, again, is a community saying, this is what we want to do. This is the effort. This is the time we know we need to put into it. We're looking for partners. So when I said this to the group you're talking about, they said, what do you think? And I said, when I get either an organization, a community group, a demographic of, for example, seniors to say, we want to do this, and we're looking at this, Mike, what is your opinion? And I always have a grin, and I say, the fact that you're on this Zoom or on this call and you want to make this a better community, I'm all in. And they'll go, you're all in? I'm all in. Because half the battle is having the passion, the desire, and the willingness to say, it matters that we get involved in the present and future of our community. It matters.
We see a lot of new faces popping up in this area as well. I think, probably the news flash was across the headline page was, Nova Scotia is a really safe place to be.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm sure these people who thought about, gee, I'd love to live in the country, or gee, I'd love to live in the Maritimes, grabbing that opportunity to buy. I mean, I have a child that moved here, never saw the house that she purchased before she even showed up, and went into isolation immediately.
Those stories are in the hundreds.
And I think that, and I really know that there are going to be individuals amongst these people that move here that will bring new ideas.
Yes.
And what a wonderful thing. I think it's an exciting future.
Well,
I think it is.
I do too, Becky. And I think that the very example that you just brought up, when people want to come here to live and they need certain things, they need high-speed internet or reliable internet, which we're working on. They need to have viable opportunities in terms of economic development. But let me say this. The way we get out of, or the way we improve or eradicate, I hope, child poverty, poverty in general, is opportunities to create more employment, more economic development, and whether it is people that used to live here that are coming back or newcomers from around the world, as you mentioned, who want to come and live in Cape Breton-Canso, and they are hundreds of people, I can assure you. I've talked to many of them. That's how we evolve our writing. That's how we adapt. It's how we move forward. And we need to be open to that. We need to be open to new ideas, new approaches. We need to be, for example, open to the idea, and it's happened over the past 5 years, community groups from across this riding are actively involved with the Nova Scotia Health Authority on doctor recruitment. 10 years ago, it was just the Nova Scotia Health Authority. Now community says, you know what? We've got a stake in this. We've got a lot to offer. We want to be a part of that recruitment process. That's change.
And I see that a new doctor in Port Hawkesbury.
A new doctor in Port Hawkesbury who I met this time last year. So I met 6 potential doctors from Nigeria and 1 from Israel.
That's wonderful.
And I met them and I gave them the pitch on Cape Breton-Canso. Out of that selection, there is one doctor from Glace that's going to be in Glace Bay and 1 doctor that will service the Strait area.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but it was many people involved in it. It wasn't just Mike Kelloway. It was Mike Kelloway and the mayor of Port Hawkesbury, and then Mike Kelloway and Bay It Forward, the group in Glace Bay, and a lot of other groups that I know I'm missing, but you know who you are, and you're so important to this.
The other thing about it is, you know, the place sells itself.
It does.
It's pretty beautiful.
No place I would rather live.
Anyway, it was lovely seeing you, as
Nice
always.
seeing you,
I
too.
hear your French is coming along, so the next time, you never know.
I think the next time we do this, I think I'll be able to present something, maybe 3 or 4 sentences in French. It's been a year of learning French, and it's coming. I'm on Unit 10, which means that I've gone from Unit 5 to Unit 10. So, but I'm so committed to it because many of my writings' first language is Acadian or Parisian French, and I want to make sure that I can converse with them. So every Friday morning, with my tutor, and but I'm enjoying it. I'm getting better. It was rough going in the beginning, but I'm getting there.
I have every confidence that you'll get there.
Thank you.
You come again. The next time you come, we'll have a discussion about why you didn't try to become our premier.
We'll have a complete show dedicated to that. How's
Just
that?
to that. Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.